I had a sort of a history back in 2017 of duodenal ulcers. I didn't really think too much of it at the time.
Yeah.
I was on omeprazole for it and told, don't take Nurofen, anything like that.
Yeah.
And I just assumed it was all resolved kind of thing. Then a couple of years back, I started getting all these symptoms that I could only describe really as a feeling like often having like a bubble stuck in my throat. That sometimes you'd kind of feel like you wanted to cough up phlegm.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was causing it, what it could be, or anything initially.
Yeah.
So I did see an ENT specialist. She diagnosed it as silent reflux. However, prior to that, I had been, having conversations with a functional medical practitioner who had put me on various supplements, and I was saying to him that I was giving sort of omeprazole again and Gaviscon at the time, and told it was high acid. And I started taking it, and I was getting much, much worse. And I spoke to my GP and reduced it to half dose. And then eventually, I think after 10 days only, sort of stopped it entirely. And this functional medical practitioner actually said, it might not be high acid. It might be the opposite, low acid. And honestly, I was getting so sort of confused as to what could be the case kind of thing. And I started to lose quite a bit of weight, and I was getting nausea as well. So I then got referred to a dietitian, and basically at that point, she sort of said, instead of maybe having chicken breast, have, sort of chicken thigh, because it's, and adding oil even to steamed vegetables and lots of little snacks of hummus and stuff. So I mean, gradually my weight did start coming back, but all the time in the background, this throat bubble thing is still sort of ongoing.
Have you ever been tested for Helicobacter pylori? It's a bacteria.
I don't think so.
So with a duodenal ulcer and with ulcers in the stomach, sometimes they can be caused by an overgrowth of a bacteria that's called Helicobacter pylori. It's often abbreviated as H. pylori, Pylori. And this is something that can make you feel nauseous, and it can even give you headaches and make you feel kind of unwell sometimes in yourself. And it can sometimes also be an underlying cause of when you're not absorbing nutrition properly out of your food, because it causes dysbiosis, which is like an imbalance in the rest of the bugs in the microbiome further down in the small intestines. So then that would be one of the first things that I would look for, and the GP can do that for you.
Right.
There's you can do a stool sample, but if that's positive, that will help resolve a lot of problems if you know about it, because then there's ways of getting rid of it. But then if it's negative, that's brilliant, because then that's another thing that's ruled out that then is not contributing. So the duodenum is the first part of the small intestine in the gut, and it's made of something called mucous membrane. And the mucous membrane, it's basically like a wet lining on the inside of your gut, and all the intestines and the passages, it's all lined with this same mucous membrane. If it becomes inflamed over a really long period of time, it can then start to deteriorate in its physical capacity, really, so that you're literally getting ulcers that form in it. So what is it that has happened to create a situation where the inside of your small intestine is becoming ulcerated? And have you had any clues as to why that might be, either through your initial diagnosis or through the functional medicine work that you've done?
No. And as I say, the original duodenal ulcers, at the time I had a coloscopy as well as the endoscopy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the time, I think we were trying to sort of check the bowel end originally. And one of the things you just mentioned, just winding back about not necessarily absorbing that much nutrients from food.
Yeah.
I'm always kind of aware that I seem to eat a lot more than the rest of my family.
Okay.
And I've never had any problems with ever getting overweight or anything in that direction.
So from a nutrition perspective, things that might be helpful for you to look at that can help the quality and the integrity of that mucous membrane all throughout your gut are vitamin A, zinc and vitamin D. They are like 3 key nutrients that are really, really helpful for repairing that mucous membrane. But also, have you ever heard of bone broths or meat stocks?
Yes.
Do you do that routinely?
No, I very occasionally bought them just to use as sort of stock, but no, I haven't done anything with them.
That might be really interesting then to see how you respond to that by doing it regularly, like on a daily basis, and just see how you feel, because the nutrition in there helps repair the gut wall. So if it is under stress for reasons that we don't yet know, that have yet to be discovered, that can be a way of actually controlling the symptoms just while you're trying to investigate the underlying cause of it. And it can just be really helpful to restore the function there. So, if you consider that your microbiome, which is your microbial communities that live inside your gut, they have to have a nice place to live, and the mucous membrane is that's the carpet for them to grow on. So if that's become so weakened that it's becoming ulcerated, or it did in the past, then fixing that will then naturally have a secondary effect on the microbiome and just really rebuilding that up.